A quick new idea, daily, from the world's greatest TEDx talks. I'm your host, Atossa Leoni, and this is TEDx Shorts. Wherever you look, it seems political discourse has become deeply polarized and quarrelsome, regardless of your political affiliation. Today's speaker is Stephanie Spellers, an Episcopal minister who argues that this conversational chasm is actually an opportunity to understand each other, if we adopt a bolder practice of what she calls revolutionary listening.
I started college in 1989. About a year after my university in North Carolina started admitting a significant number of Black students. And for the first time in the school's history, there were enough of us to take up some space. And so we did. We stood up, we spoke out, and as we did, something else rose, a conservative backlash. Now, I had nothing to lose. I jumped all the way into the fray like it was a mosh pit. I was all up in it. But every now and then I would rise up from the pit. I would rise up and it was like I had this out-of-body experience, when you can see everything unfolding before you. I could see all sides of the divide. And I could see on one side those of us, the young people of color. I could see the gay and lesbian students, the women. All of us gathered up, finally stepping out, feeling like even though for centuries our families, our communities had suffered oppression, we had a chance. We had this one chance to finally change things. And it wasn't that we wanted to punish our white or male or straight or conservative classmates. We just were done. We were done taking care of them. For once, we had to put our energy into something else. Our energy had to go into creating some small space where we could finally breathe. But they were still over there, on that other side, our conservative classmates. The world, it seemed like, had been built to benefit them, but they didn't even begin to understand. They didn't understand how they had all of these privileges and protections and preferences that had been built for them like bumper lanes at the bowling alley. They didn't understand that every time they opened their mouths or even just walked by us, we had to clinch, we had to hide, we were worried about more violence. But what they did know, what they did understand, I think now I understand, they felt confusion. They felt frustration. They felt loss. This was supposed to be their space. This was supposed to be the space built for them, but suddenly it was uncomfortable. And who let us in anyway? Now, whether they had a right or not, these young ones of privilege, they were struggling. And ain't that the way human nature just works? It works where if you've had the power all along, finally having to share it feels kind of like you're losing it. And when you've been the one who could speak and your voice was the only one that mattered, somebody else coming along and speaking, well, it feels like you're being silenced. And I guess that's what they felt. And so they took that confusion and that loss and they created a ball of rage. And they threw it at us. When Bill Clinton won the election in 1992, all of us college Democrats, like 30 people, were running onto the quad to celebrate. And then we found ourselves surrounded by an angry mob. And there was one guy who locked eyes with me, and he shouted out, "Go home, welfare mother. You think you won? We're coming back." That face, that voice will stay with me, I think, for my life. And now I have to wonder, if he felt all of that in 1992, what did he feel when Barack Obama became president? The very moment that I feel like I finally gained my country, did he lose his? And will I ever know? Probably not, because the walls are so high. You've seen them. You know how high these walls are. You know that everywhere black and brown bodies are littering the ground. And you know that the voices are crying out, but we do not hear. Because a long time ago, we stopped listening. I think it's time for us to start. It's time for us to start again. In fact, it's past time for us to start again. We need to listen. We need to learn, in fact, the fine art of revolutionary listening. Listening for each other's deepest pain, deepest hope, deep truth, and deep humanity. Because I'm telling you right now, it is the only thing that will set us all free. There's nothing easy about it. I had to be trained in it. Trained by my friends who were gay and lesbian and bi and transgendered. We were together in the struggle back in the 2000s, the early struggle for marriage equality in Massachusetts. So we were out there and we were on the streets. We were singing songs, we were at the State House, we were collecting signatures, we were marching for freedom, and it was extraordinary. I could feel my ancestors, my black ancestors, rising up and moving with us in that movement. It felt good. It felt good to be a warrior for love. It felt good to be right. And when my best friend in the world, Calvin, came out of the closet, and thankfully in our church, he was fine. In the Episcopal Church, gay is cool. But it was his conservative parents. They were the ones who could not bear it. And yet, when he came to me and asked, "What should I do?" I said, "Let it go. Let them go. They don't want you, you don't need them." He wouldn't listen to me. He stayed connected to them. He built a life of love. He had people around him. All of us were right there by his side, but he used that strength, that foundation, to stay connected to his parents. He kept reaching out, kept a door open, kept it open, even just a crack, until the night it flew wide open. That night he was on the phone with his parents, and they were having that conversation that's not really a conversation at all. And finally, he just stopped and he spoke truth. He said, "I know you're hurting, and I'm sorry. I am so sorry that the thing that brings me so much joy is the very thing that causes you so much pain. But I will not stop loving him, and I will not stop loving you, so we're going to have to talk. We may not be welcome in your home. You will always be welcome in ours." Within 1 month, his parents showed up at the door for a visit. Within 1 year, his mother had gone from, "Well, I cannot condone your lifestyle," to, "Well, he is rather handsome." And now, these two guys are married, and they live in a small town near Calvin's parents. And now, these two white gay daddies are raising 4 beautiful children. Black, brown, and white children, and I get to be Auntie Steph and spoil them rotten. And their grandparents could not be more loving. And now their home is the most beloved community I know. And I know how it got that way. It got that way because Calvin took the risk. When the rest of us were telling him, "Man, let it go, cut it off, don't listen, ignore their pain," he wouldn't do it. I would like to be more like Calvin. In this moment in America, I would like for all of us to be more like Calvin. I would like for us to create the spaces we did not have when I was in college. The spaces where everybody gets to say why it hurts so much, and what they've lost, and what they love, and what they dream. There's even a part of me that wants to go back to that guy in college who yelled those horrible things at me. And we don't need to hug it out. And we will not sing Kumbaya. But I do want to talk to him, and I do want to know, dude, why is it so hard? What have you lost? What do you love? And what do you dream? And I want to tell him my stories too. This listening, this is the revolution. What if you and I went and found that person or that group, and instead of having the same old argument, have this talk? Reveal that small part of your broken heart. Welcome theirs. Be grateful for the tiny morsel of truth you never would have known, except that that person spoke it. Y'all, this is how we grow in compassion. This is how we knit one more thread into this broken fabric. This is how we get free.
The TEDx talk you just listened to was recorded at a TEDx event in New York City. All TEDx events are independently organized by volunteers who believe in TED's mission of ideas worth spreading. Special thanks to the organizing team at TEDxNewYork. Want to listen to the full talk? Find Amy's talk and more at TED.com/TEDxShorts. I'm Atossa Leoni. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.